Yep, that's right. Talking with T-Bird is back here for another season, the summer of 2024. And of course, I'm joined by the star of Talking with T-Bird, the great Teresa T-Bird Cooper.
Hey, Rob. Rob,
Hi, T-Bird.
I'm smiling so big. I'm not sure if I'm more excited that this is season 5 or for our guest today.
Oh,
I'm
well,
so
okay. Well, we have a
excited.
great guest, Tina Wesson,
Oh
winner
my
of
God.
Survivor 2, the Australian Outback, is going to be with us here today. But I thought you were going to say that you were so excited about that you are officially grandma for the very first time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I haven't decided yet about the what I want to be, how I want to refer to it as, because grandma feels, grandma. But yes, I'm very, very excited. Just a
Yes.
whole
Okay.
new, because Rob, you have your children, you've
Hmm.
got your 2 boys, and then you even the whole time Ellie was pregnant, the whole idea that she was going to have a child, and until all of a sudden there she is. Her name's Johnny Lynn, and then there she is, and so life, I guess, will be now from this point with Johnny Lynn. So yeah, thank you for asking
Yes.
me. Yeah, excited.
Okay. All
Thank you.
right. So excited for you and the family. Uh, Anybody who listens to Talking with T-Bird knows that T-Bird is so dedicated to the show. We were actually supposed to record this podcast yesterday, and she called me and said, like, hey, I'm here at the hospital and the baby's not here yet. Can we push the podcast recording back? I said, yes, you maniac. Oh, yes, of course.
Robert was a big deal. Like my kids knew, and Glenn and even Ellie. And I came back because I hadn't been on the phone the whole time because I was with Ellie during this whole labor and delivery. She said, "Who were you just talking to?" I'm like, "Rob."
It's like,
I said,
we
I just,
appreciate your dedication, T-Bird, but we could move the podcast back.
and then Rob, Ellie says, "Mom, I'm so sorry you had to change it." Now she's in labor and she's going through a life changing moment. I said, "Baby, it's okay."
Wow.
Tina, you were accommodating, and Tina was accommodating. So anyway, yeah.
What dedication. All right. Well, anyway, so T-Bird, thank you so much for getting this all together here for with everything going on. We also have some big news. Talking with T-Bird had been audio only for since we had started doing this back, I think, which was it 2019 that we started Talking with T-Bird. And so for the very first time this season, these batch of episodes, T-Bird says, you know what? I don't like being on camera for these. I will make it work. And so you can watch Talking with T-Bird for the very first time today on our YouTube channel at robiswebsite.com/YouTube. And see T-Bird.
Rob, so Glenn, my husband Glenn, who is my executive producer, getting everything
Yes.
set up, most people know that,
Our
has
angel.
has always said, "You need to do the camera." I'm like, "Oh, no." So right before this season started, season 5, I said, "Rob, anything you want to do differently, any changes, anything?" And you said, "Well, I kind of like you to do the video." And as soon as you said it, I said, "Glenn, got to
Okay.
do it."
All
So
right.
thank you. Thank you.
T-Bird is a woman of her word. Here she is. And of course, we've got a great slew of guests. T-Bird has been working hard. So hopefully we're going to have a lot of talking with T-Bird coming in these next couple of weeks because T-Bird already has a couple of guests lined up. And of course, if you have suggestions for T-Bird, you can always let her know. She's very receptive at T-Bird Cooper on social media. All right. So T-Bird, anything else you want to set up before we bring in Tina?
Well, I guess I want to say that if we weren't doing with the video, you wouldn't know that I have on my Q skirt.
Q skirt. Okay, I don't think the camera goes down that far, but take
So
T-Bird's
I've got
word
on my
for
Q
it.
skirt. So
Maybe jump. Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, Q skirt, got the Talking with T-Bird shirt on, available in the RHAP merch store. I got the Survivor Africa flag and Survivor Africa mug behind. So T-Bird is ready to go. Let's go ahead and bring in the great winner of Survivor 2, the Australian Outback, Tina Wesson.
our guest today played on the 2nd season of Survivor, the Australian Outback. She lasted 42 days, had no votes cast against her, and without winning any Individual Immunity Challenge would become the first female winner of Survivor. And in case you were wondering, she wants the world to know, quote, I would have taken Colby if I had won the final immunity, end quote. This petite, 115-pound, 5'7" woman has said, I was just a soccer mom. It was sheer luck and old school True Alliance gameplay that won the game for me. I would add it was her 39 years of life experiences up till then that prepared her for this physically, emotionally demanding game. Born Danette Nicely, December 26, 1960, in Knoxville, Tennessee, she was the youngest of 5 children. The parents struggled. The children tried staying together, but the hardship proved too difficult. She was adopted at age 3 by loving parents. She had the best of both worlds. Her mom taught her to be a good Southern woman, while her daddy taught her to be a tomboy, playing with snakes, catching crawdads in the creek, fishing, playing tennis, water skiing, only to name a few. Her parents lovingly called her Ellie Mae. Always the outdoor enthusiast, in high school, she was the captain of the swim team, played the #1 position on the tennis team, and set the school record for the 110-meter low hurdle. She graduated from the University of Tennessee in 1993 with a Bachelor of Science in Therapeutic Recreation, then went on to become a flight attendant with Eastern Airlines. She soon married and became a mom to daughter Katie and son Taylor, only 13 months apart. Katie has said, quote, she is the coolest mom in the entire world. She is like an adult kid, end quote. They would have spaghetti on the declared no silverware night and ice cream fights in the kitchen. In her mid-30s, she was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. However, it did not slow her down. She switched her tennis game to racquetball and continued biking, hiking, swimming, and kayaking. Survivor originally cast her as an alternate, but several weeks prior, that would change. This lover of adventure, nature, and the great outdoors said she only went for the free camping trip to Australia. She would go on to play on All Stars, going from, as she says, first to worst, falling victim to the anti-winner campaign by the others. She then played on Blood versus Water with her daughter Katie, where she was voted out twice, winning her way back into the game from Redemption Island and then finishing 1 day shy of the final 3. She describes herself as energetic, independent, a fixer with a rebellious spirit, curious with a slightly reckless nature. She loves animals and is a free thinker. She loves people, but she loves isolation. She likes to hug instead of shake hands. She does not like quitters or mean people. Her book, Outlive, Outlaugh, Outlove, written in 2006, is her personal journey toward a successful life. Her mantra, quote, just be a good human, end quote. She is an advocate of adoption, supporting the rights of adopted children to their biological history. She is a vigilante on the importance of seatbelts. She is a woman of faith, forgiveness, and grace, a woman like no other, an inspiration to many of us. I proudly introduce Tina Wesson.
No!
Wow.
I cry.
Yeah, you and me both, Tina.
Oh, Teresa, that
both.
was so beautiful. Oh my gosh, thank you.
Tina, you are an amazing person. You are an amazing person. Before Survivor even happened, just, learning about you the last month and reading about you and reading the book, you are fascinating for way more many reasons than Survivor. So anyway, thank you for being with us today.
Oh, you are welcome, Teresa. Again, thank you. That was just beautiful.
Nobody does it like T-Bird, and this is just so nice and special to be here with the both of you, because I think that that T-Bird, I think that there was probably a lot of comparison when you came through this whole Survivor that you were going to be like Tina. And I don't know, have you two had any interactions in the past before?
Not much. It seems like we've hit each other a few times on maybe things like this, or I don't know, Teresa, has there been any other things?
Tina, met you the night of the Africa finale. And I think that's the only time that I met you
Wow.
in person. I was in awe of you then. I actually applied for Australia also. And this is so interesting. So my nickname T-Bird, I had that nickname in college, but you are the reason, Miss Tina, that my nickname now from the survivor community is T-Bird. And I'm going to tell you just really quickly why. During the first couple of days during our season in Africa, Brandon kept calling me Tina. Brandon. And I finally I thought to myself, I gotta separate myself from Tina because there are a lot of similarities with the soccer mom. So I told Brandon, I was like, Brandon, just call me T-Bird. And
Oh,
that's how that happened.
oh my goodness. Why
Hold
was
it.
why was he calling you Tina?
From you. The similarities between
Oh, so he was just making a joke, like, oh, you're
no,
Yeah.
he didn't seem like he was making a joke. I mean, it was like the first day how you're just meeting people.
right.
And I guess it started with a T. So he just would say Tina. And then
And T-Bird, I bet it put a target on your back because that everybody just saw Tina win.
Oh.
yes, your season had already finished, Tina.
Oh.
So the soccer mom did pretty well in Australia.
Yeah.
So
They're like, well, watch out for her. She's like a Tina.
Oh, I love that I've given you your name, sort of.
yes,
That is
Yes.
so sweet.
yes. So let me just jump right in and ask you, why did you, obviously you probably saw the very first season in Borneo. What made you decide I'm going to apply, and what was your audition video like?
Okay. Well, first of all, I never even thought about applying. That's not my world. TV's not my world. I just watched that first season because it was something new and got immediately addicted to it. I was like, this show is incredible. And it was my husband. He was like, Tina, that show is so you, because, you know, at the end it says, you know, if you want to apply, go to this website and print out the application. And so my husband's like, you should really try out for this. And I'm in my mind, there's no way in a gazillion years that they would ever pick me, because, you know, I always say I'm so extraordinarily ordinary. There's absolutely nothing really about me that anybody should pick for a show like that, I don't think. So he talked me in. He's the one that talked me into applying. And he's the one that came up with the whole video idea. We waited until the last day to submit the video, first of all. And so he had gotten off work, come home from work. And that was back in the day with the big VHS recorders on your shoulder, you know? And we had it plugged into the plug with an extension cord going out to the driveway. And I pulled up on my motorcycle and got off my motorcycle and took off my helmet. And I said, hi, I'm Tina Wesson. I'm 40 years old, but don't hold that against me. I said, I just took the Oprah real age test and I'm really only 32. But anyway, I have all the skills that it would take to be on the show. Come on, I'll show you. And so when the camera goes blank and when it comes back on, I'm up in the top of one of our trees in the backyard. And we had put a trampoline down below, but you can't see it. You just see me up in the tree. And I said, one of the skills that you have to go on Survivor is you have to be agile enough to get up in the tree canopy to get the precious fruit. And about that time, I'm reaching out for fruit on the tree and I fall. And you just see me falling and screaming out of the tree. You don't ever see me land. So I fell out of the tree and the camera goes blank. And when it comes back, my arm's in a sling. And I say, the second thing that you have to do is you have to be able to find the proper bedding at night. You need soft ground cover. You need the tree elements, the trees to protect you from the elements. And I'm crawling in the sleeping bag. And about that time, my children go, Mom, you're laying in poison ivy. And I'm like, ah! And I had reached down in my sleeping bag and I said, look, a snack. And it was a spider. And I popped the spider in my mouth. And so the camera goes blank and it comes back on. I now have red dots all over me, my arms in a sling, and I ride up on my mountain bike on this log and I say, well, as I've demonstrated, not so well, I am the ultimate survivor with all the skills. But no matter what, remember, life is good and play hard. And I rode off. So that was the audition tape.
Here we go.
That's so interesting because, like, to get on the show at that particular point in the show's history, it's like you had to do like America's Funniest Home Videos to like get the attention. Now it's like they would tell you the opposite of that. Like they like don't do a skit. We just want to see you. But everybody that got on the show in the early days all has like a story of like, here's me living in a dumpster. I'm ready, survivor, pick me. And like, oh, like these people, so many people in the beginning that they got naked. Look at me. I'll do anything to get on Survivor. Now it's so different the way that they want you to send in the video.
Well, look, I mean, it's been on the air for 20 years and things evolve over time. And what worked then doesn't work now. And so I think that, it's just an adaptation. And back then, I do think that they realized with the first show that, this is going to be a hit. And so I think that they were looking, I think there were 50,000 applicants for my season. And they said they looked through every single one of them. And of course, that just got me my foot in the door. I still had to go and do the real face-to-face where all the videos that they did see, that second stage, I think, Rob, is where they put the real face to who are you.
So Tina, a couple things. The first thing is when you hear that they looked at every video, I believe they did because when they cast me for the third season, I actually asked Lynn, who was doing the casting for quite a few years, if she had seen my video for season 2. And without skipping a beat, she said, yes, I did. You were dressed up like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. And we didn't know if that was your Southern accent, if that was who you are, because you were doing a skit. So they had seen it. But now I want to ask you this. You started out as an alternate. So how did that change and how quickly did that change before the season started?
Yeah, it was really interesting because they didn't tell me I was an alternate. They just told me I didn't make it. They said that they had chosen a girl from the Midwest because we made it down. We were all there in LA and they kept cutting people. And then we got down to like the last, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 people or so. And then they sent all of us home and they said, we'll call you. And so they called not long afterwards and said, oh, sorry, we picked this girl from the Midwest. And I'm like, oh, crap. And so that's all I thought. I didn't know. And then it was really interesting because my husband was like, Tina, they'll call you back. He says, there's no way that they would not pick you for this show. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, why would they call and tell me no, only to call me back? And I don't know what it was, but he was just such a believer in me. And so he would go to work and he'd come home. He goes, well, did they call you? I'm like, no. And it's like picking a scab. Can we just like heal? Let's just pick it off and let's just go forward. And sure enough, a few days later, they called me back and said that the woman that they had picked had some reservations about skydiving into Australia because we were originally supposed to skydive into. And so Mark Burnett said, call Tina. He said, I don't want anybody who has to think about it. So that's how I got on.
And they didn't even do the skydiving.
I know. Well, and too, she had young kids as well. And she said, having to leave her children. And I'm thinking, didn't you know all this before you applied? Why would you even apply?
Yeah. Tina, have you ever met this person? Has she ever come out of the woodwork to say that, oh, I was actually going to be the person on Survivor, the Australian Outback?
No. I would love to meet her, though.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting.
T-Bird, find her next.
Oh, okay. I wish you'd have told me. I wish I'd have had a heads up. I should have thought of this myself. But yes, that would be.
If anybody can find her, it's T-Bird.
Wow, Miss
So,
Detective.
well, anyway, yeah, that would be interesting. And I wonder if she ever applied again.
I
I
know.
don't know, especially
Good
after you went in
question.
and won. So
Good
anyway.
question.
So Tina, and also back in the day, we had our luxury items, and I think you took a backgammon board.
Correct.
Did you, you know how you had to submit a couple of different ideas? Was that your first choice? And
No, my first choice was a journal. I'm a manic journaler. I've been journaling since I was a teenager, and I really wanted to take a journal, and they told me no, but they let Amber bring a journal. I was not happy about that.
well, you showed her, didn't you?
I did.
By golly, watch this, Amber. I'm just going to win this whole thing. All right, so I think your backgammon board, did you end up swapping that when Jeff was going to take Colby's flag for the rice? You, being the wonderful person you are, said, I believe if you're taking his flag, then you're going to take my backgammon board. Did they actually take it?
No, actually, that was Elizabeth who said, if you're taking his flag, she had that beautiful headdress.
Oh, okay.
All of her aunts and her mom and grandmother, they had all sewn scarves together. And she said, if you're taking his flag, you're taking my headdress. So that was Elizabeth.
Oh, okay. Thank you for correcting me on that. Very good. Did you play any backgammon out there?
Oh, gazillions of games. You know what? Hold on. Can you hold on 1 second?
Sure.
Okay. Hold on. I'm coming.
Tina has gotten up from the
This
podcast.
is exciting.
Maybe she has somebody at the door.
No, I do not.
Maybe
This
she
is
has the backgammon set.
my backgammon set, and oh shoot, it's not in here. Darn. I was going to show you. I have the list of items. So I borrowed Amber's pen, her precious pen for her journal, and we played every game that we played. I taught it to everybody, and every game that we played, we had to bet something.
Wow.
So we had crazy bets that went on. Like one of my favorites was I was playing with Elizabeth, and it was getting close to the end of the game, and we made a bet that whoever lost had to buy a present and hand deliver it, and it was called a knock gift because she had to knock at my door and drop it off and run away, but she had to buy me something and leave it at my door. And so we actually, CBS had at the end of it asked if we all wanted to fly to Sydney for a week after it was over. And so we flew to Sydney, and so she fulfilled her loss and got me a little gift and knocked on my door and ran away. So it was little things like that that we bet on.
Wow.
And Tina, just from what Katie has said about you, just all the different stories that I didn't even include about all the crazy fun things that you do as a mom. And I think you even referred to yourself as Queen of Pester because you're always doing jokes. And obviously that was who you were playing out there as well.
Yes, but what I think that I was a little timid because I'm so self-conscious and uncomfortable in front of the camera that I don't know that I was as fun and playful as I am in real life. I don't know that that really came across just because I felt a little awkward out there.
Well, like I said, from the things that Katie has said, but you know what, Tina, I get that. I mean, you don't want to be too, I mean, you're playing a game, so you don't want to stand out too much like a lot of times people will do. And I think it's interesting you said even in the early days, a lot of times, generally, the first person that's the target or voted out is the one person that is the most aggravating person or that people don't want to live with. I think I remember you saying that. So you kind of do hold back your personality, probably for that reason.
Well, you know, it was funny because I think Liz said that she was on this last season, she was, you know, looking at people who were getting camera time. And I would have been the one who was like, I was wanting other people to have the camera time. I was like, oh gosh, now it's my turn. And I was so in awe of other people. Like production would ask Kobe a question and he would come up with some funny comment or some monologue that's like, did you have time to prepare your answer? Because he was so good at answering questions. And, I don't know. I just felt like I never really, again, that extraordinarily ordinary. I don't have that. Rob, you were hysterical. You could come up, same thing. Your mind works so fast and so quick. And I just don't have that.
Rob, you know how now they count the confessionals that people have? And maybe they did back in the day. Tina, do you have any idea how many confessionals you had compared to everybody else? Rob, I don't even know if they count. I mean, I guess we could go back and count them, but
no, I can't.
Do you know, T-Bird?
I do not know.
I know famously that Tina didn't have one in the first episode of the season. And that was, to a lot of people, they said, oh, okay, well, Tina is not going to win because that they didn't even give her a confessional in the first episode. And that really threw people off the scent.
Yeah, I don't even know if they showed me at all on the first. I know I was definitely in the back trying to adjust to this world that I knew nothing about.
Yeah, but Tina, you have other superpowers. And I'm so interested that, I know you're a super fan of the show. I love that you referenced Liz just now and I think that was not even something that was on the show. I think that that's something that Liz said in her interviews outside the show. And so I'm curious to know what you thought about our most recent winner, a woman in Kenzie, who I would have to think that you would feel like maybe shares some of the same great qualities that helped you win the game some time ago.
Oh, well, I have to say, I'm really happy Kenzie won. And I'll tell you why. One reason, and it might not be the reason that you think. It's not because of her lot in life or anything like that. It is because of who she is. The fact that Ben was having such a hard time. Who got up with Ben? Who stayed up with Ben at nighttime? It wasn't just Ben that was losing sleep. It was Kenzie also that was staying up. And she made a comment. I can't say it exactly how she said, but it was something like, how can you not help someone who's suffering like this? And I don't know. I mean, I'm all for good gameplay. And this is one reason why I love the show so much, is because until you play the game, you can only talk about it from a third person perspective. Once you get in the game, both of you realize how complex it is of separating game from human to friendship to next tribal council who you're voting off. I still, to this day, I still dream about Survivor probably 3 or 4 times a month. Wow. It is that much a part of your brain, unless you are a person who can truly separate it and say, I'm going out there to play and I'm not going to really have relationships with these people. It's just going to be. Now, those people I think could probably play the game better. I can't do it. I just don't have it in me. And so I think that Charlie played a fantastic game. I think he played a really, really good hard game. Might be game-wise, he probably played a better game than Mackenzie, to be honest. But at the same time, it's kind of like, this is going to be a funny analogy. It's kind of like Trump recently getting convicted of 34 counts. Well, 12 people are the ones that convicted him. Well, 9 people voted for who the winner was going to be for the show. It comes down to 9 people. So it's not just one person. It's a group decision. And it doesn't have to be unanimous in Survivor, but still, I think that there was something about her personality that other people saw, that compassion and caring and kindness. And I'm just glad to know that it wins out in the end. It would be interesting. This is something that I would love to see happen with Survivor. I would love to see certain seasons on down the line, like maybe 2 years or 3 years afterwards, to go back and ask the people, whenever it's a close vote, would they still vote the same way that they did, or would they change?
Wow.
Because after you've had time to sleep on it, after you've had time to go back and see the show, it would be really interesting to see how people vote.
Tina, I have to jump in here now because this is one thing I've talked to Rob about. Back when we played, we were sequestered. We could not, I'm pretty sure y'all were the same way. Is that right? Once you were voted out, you couldn't get with each other and share your stories.
Well, Tina doesn't know. She was went to the end.
Of course, Tina doesn't know that. Right.
Yeah,
well,
but by the time in Survivor 6, we were not there. There was not like sequestering in the jury. That everybody from the jury was all together, but that they didn't keep us separated.
Okay. Well, in Africa, when we were voted out, they watched us. They were with us where we could not talk game at all. That, to me, I'd like to see it that way, because it's the same with the Maria Charlie vote. Once you get off and you're voted out, you go to Ponderosa. Most of these people have really strong personalities. And so whatever their interaction was with the other people, they're sharing those stories. They may be true, they may not be true. So, and I know, Tina, you're a big fan of having to play in a pure game. So to me, a pure game would be you play the game, you vote the way you play the game, and then you watch it back. And I know we had some people from Thailand. Was it who did we have from Thailand?
That went
to vote.
Voted?
Yeah.
Helen? Jan?
No.
Helen and Jan.
Helen.
Yeah.
Helen actually said, and Tina, I think I've heard you make a comment or two about Brian Heidick. I'm not sure he's your favorite Survivor winner, but Helen said once she watched the season, she would not have voted for him. And so that kind of, like I said, the pure game to me would be let it play out, and then everybody vote the way they played and their interaction with each person. What do you think about that?
Wow, that would be pretty interesting, actually.
Well, like even Maria, we don't know what all she shared with the other cast when she went to Ponderosa.
And I think it's still a little up for debate of that. Some cast members have said that she got a lot of information at Ponderosa. Others have said she didn't. Maria said she didn't. So it's definitely, some level of hearsay as to like what Maria was discussing at Ponderosa.
Well, and I also think she was, right on the heels of an emotional decision. Your feelings get hurt. I'm going back to Survivor Blood versus Water. I got my feelings hurt whenever Tyson, broke up the alliance and voted for R. And so I was pissy, and I said some things I wish I hadn't said, and was all emotional. And then whenever I got to the end of the game and I was part of the jury, I didn't know who I was going to vote for. Even though Tyson played a great game, now looking back, I was able to watch the season and see and think, wow, he is deserving to be the winner. But at the time, my feelings were so hurt, I didn't want to vote for Tyson. Katie's the only reason why I did. But now, if you interview me, I'm like, yeah, Tyson hands down played a fantastic game. He's a great winner. He's so deserving. So that's what I mean. Our emotions can get the best of us. And I'm sure Maria was hurt, but I'm so curious, very, very curious. Let's change that narrative a little bit. Let's say that Charlie beat her to the punch, or she beat Charlie to the punch, and she votes Charlie out. Okay, I would be curious whether or not Charlie would vote for Maria in the end. After seeing everything that happened, I wonder what that would be. Has anybody asked him about that?
I don't think he has said that directly. And I think the real wild card there is that if Maria was up against Kenzie and Kenzie was just so strong and had so much, this wonderful charm that the other players really loved her also, that I think that probably is a difficult decision for Charlie.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'd be really curious to see what he would do. And it's kind of like, it's part of the game, even though, people might criticize Kenzie like, oh, well, it's just because she had this story. I don't believe it was because she had just the story of, her hair salon and working at 15. I think it was her compassion towards the other players, how she played the game. So with heart, not just playing the game, but with heart, kind of like that's why Russell's never won, because he doesn't know how to interject kindness and make it personal. And that's part of the game. Outwit, outlast, outplay. But somewhere in that wit, last, and play is, who are you as a human being? And are you going to reward a Russell in the end? So it is part of the game. Whether or not it's part of the game, the finding the idols and things like that, it might not be part of that game, but it is part of the game of Survivor.
I think I've always said, Tina and Rob, I think the game mirrors life. And I think people play the game mostly the way they live their life, even though I know a lot of players will come off and they're not big on their edit. A lot of times, even with the Africa cast, people that didn't like their edit, when I look back, I'm thinking, but that's how you were perceived. That's how you were. So a lot of people, I guess, don't realize when they play it back or don't like what they see. And then another thing too is the resume building. I think we hear a lot about now how people are working toward their resume and building a resume, which I don't know that we thought of that back during the old school days. Right. And Kenzie, I guess, looks more like you said, she was playing with heart. The way she actually is, and I've actually met Kenzie. She is amazing and adorable. Oh. My mom and my husband love her, and I do too. She was just that way when we met her, just a very open and caring and beautiful person. You just see it. But anyway, what do you think about the building the resume that we see so much now?
Yeah, I think that speaks to how the game has grown into, it was a little thing, and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And now there's so many dynamics to the game. And I think building the resume, definitely, you can't just ride on coattails. You have to have something, something to present to the jury. I don't think that they're going to reward somebody who does absolutely nothing. So yeah, I definitely am impressed with the complexity of the new generation of Survivor. It would be so hard. Like sometimes whenever I watch, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, my goodness, it would be so hard to go back out and play because it's such a different game. I'd like to think I'd do okay, but who knows? I don't know.
And Tina, you won Australia 42 days. So now we see 26 days. So what's your feelings and thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm like whoop-de-doop-de. I'm like 20 some odd days, big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not even real good and hungry at 20 some odd days, double that.
Tina and I did more than 26 days outside Survivor in one of these seasons. That's all there is, 26 days?
I know. Yeah, I'm not impressed with that. So, and why did
It
they
is, but watch it, Tina, because you know that the new contestants are get very sensitive about. It's still hard. It's still hard. It's just not as many days.
Yeah, I don't want to hear any complaining though. That's what, that's what I like. Okay, you're going to go out there and do 26 days. Okay, we'll do it, but don't complain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really respect a complaining at 26 days.
It's so, Tina, we already know when you played All Stars. Again, I believe they were targeting. I think Miss Jenna might have led that campaign to target the winners. But you would go on to play Blood versus Water with Katie. I think you were maybe how old were you then when you played on that? You were 50, maybe? Anyway, you were a little bit more mature, but I think I read that you said that the first 3 days on Blood versus Water was harder than the whole 42 days for you in Australia because of the psychological warfare out there and how difficult it was. Now, when you went out there, you literally went out there with the clothes on your back, where Australia, I think, didn't y'all have wardrobes and everything for season 2?
We had a few items. We had like a warm sweater and a change of underwear and change of shoes. So yeah, we had a little bit more, not a wardrobe.
But it is so interesting that you have had these different experiences, certainly where, in the very beginning, so much of it that, there is the backstabbing that goes on. But I think that probably in Survivor, the Australian Outback, you are a little bit more focused with the group of, okay, how do we work together against the elements? And the elements were such a big part of that season. And leaving All Stars aside, which is a totally different animal, then to come back and play in Blood versus Water, where the battle against the elements, isn't so much front and center, and that the game is now so complicated at that point in the show's history, and it must have been so night and day.
It was, and you think about the people that I was out there with. You had Tyson, on my tribe, master manipulator, and I knew that going in. I'm like, oh gosh, but he was so funny that, oh my gosh, I loved playing with him just because he made me laugh. And he, kind of like you, Rob, it made the time go by so much faster if you've got somebody out there who's fun to be around.
Yeah.
But I knew Tricky Dicky, so I had him. I had Colton, oh my gosh, who lives and breathes it and is in your face and wants to talk about it. And he is the whole time, and he's focused on me. I was like the person he kept just trying to pull in. So yeah, my head was spinning a little bit by the time I got to Blood versus Water. And then also, I had Katie to think about, wondering what's on with her and how's that going. And you're right, I was older, and in my mind, I still think I'm this great athlete that can whoop everybody, and I'm not winning these challenges. And I go out and I totally blow that first challenge, forget that I was supposed to pick something up, and I had to swim back out, and it was horrible because my brain wasn't working. So anyway, yeah, it was a whole different ball game going out there. So now, who knows, I might be like whenever I go out.
So Tina, so you were 53 when you played Blood versus Water.
Okay.
So yeah, and so I think I read too that, of course, Katie played with you, but Katie was not like you as far as the outdoorsy, adventurous girl, right? So
I'll do a quote from Katie: "Nature sucks." She does not like it at all.
Now, did you have a couple of people, or was Katie the one you focused in on as your plus one?
Well, at the time, Taylor was still alive, so it was between him or her. And, that was going to be a really tough decision for me, and wondering how I was going to navigate that. Katie she's tough. She is more tough. Taylor, he's like a praying mantis. He's really tall and skinny, and he had a girlfriend. he eats a lot, so starvation would not go well for him. So there were a lot of things about if Taylor win, I thought would probably be more to my detriment. So I had to play the game a little bit before I went and played the game by trying to talk Taylor out of saying that he would want to go. So he finally, after I told him all the horrible things he'd have to sacrifice, he said, yeah, ask Katie. So that's how that came to be.
So they didn't give you a choice. You didn't submit like Taylor and Katie. You just decided on Katie.
Well, they said, you have a loved one. And I said, yeah, I have a son and a daughter that I would consider taking one of them. They did say that they were needing more of a female. They would consider Taylor, but they needed more of a female.
Okay. So on Blood versus Water, you mentioned Colton. And again, you said usually that first person out is the one that's going to be the most aggravating. And I think you were asked in an interview of your Blood versus Water with Colton, who seemed to be, up in everybody's face, I guess, a little bit. And the comparison between that and your Jerry in Australia. Which one would be probably a little bit more difficult to live with? And I believe you said
Colton?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Yeah. So, it was very difficult. It was and let me just preface it before I slam him. Let me just say that I talked to Colton today. I mean, not today, but I have a relationship with him now, and he's a delightful soul, and so is Jerry. I think that's the beauty of Survivor, is that in life we grow. We're always growing and developing. So they're both really wonderful humans that I'm proud to say they're my friends. But yeah, Colton was just relentless, and I could go and get away from Jerry, and just have to deal with her on a person. She wasn't personally with me. Like, I don't feel like she was attacking me, whereas I felt Colton was just always coming at me, trying to do something, And so I guess that's why I said Colton.
I think it's interesting, Tina, how, like you said, we all share this amazing experience. And once it's over, the relationships that we build and we continue that we have with our cast. So that you and Jerry, I think, have maintained some type of relationship. I don't know, Rob, you got something for us?
Yeah, here we go. How about this?
Oh gosh.
Hey Tina, this is your old friend, the OG, Jerry Manthe. T-Bird and Rob wanted me to give you a message and share a story about you. But honestly, I feel like our story really began just in the last handful of years when we got to know each other far away from the game. And after life beat us up a little bit, suddenly it seemed like we had more in common than we ever had before. And I just want you to know that I absolutely love you and I want all the best for you. And I miss your face so much. And I would love to come visit you and stay in your cabin in the woods sometime soon. So take care, Tina. Have a good time with these two crazies. And I will see you soon. Bye.
Oh,
Okay. How about that?
So sweet. Oh, that is, thank you for that.
Yeah, that was very nice.
Oh, that is so sweet.
Isn't it fun, Tina, how, people saw your relationship out there with Jerry, and to see, 20 plus years later, how you've evolved into such good friends. And I think that happens a lot. I'm wondering, hey, that reminds me a little bit of Charlie and Maria. I wonder what'll happen down the road with them. But anyway.
Yeah, I do too. And that's one thing that I think is so important. And I'd like to address it while we're here, because I know that CBS recently put out a statement about everybody needs to be kind, because there's a lot of hate going on right now on the internet. And, but I don't see that it's any more hate than that was going on in our season. Not poor Jerry. She's Oh Lord, I don't know anybody who's got as much hate as she did. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that it's
And Tina, who can forget when we were all together on Survivor All Stars when we went to the reunion show, remember? And we were all there, and then the crowd was booing,
yes, I
and
know.
Jerry left the stage then.
Yeah, I know. It's so sad. It really, really is sad. I don't really know. I mean, as always, I'd say it's cool to be kind, and I wish everybody would take that into consideration. But I know that this is like people say, what is your biggest disappointment? My biggest disappointment is the whole media situation that surrounds the game and what happens afterwards. Because think about all of us. Rob, Teresa, when we got called to be on the show, the level of excitement to this day, I mean, having Katie and Taylor were pretty big deals, and I was pretty excited. But I did not, when I got pregnant, I did not run around my house 15 times, jump up and down on my bed. You know, the level of excitement when we get called is off the chart. Joy.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these people are going to become annihilated on the internet, just annihilated. And that's what breaks my heart, is because something that is supposed to be so good and joyful and wonderful becomes something that for some people is life altering. You know, it changed Jerry's life, how people treated her. And so, and then, you know, well, you're signing up to go on here. Well, this is how you came across, you know, there's all of that as well. So I just think it's a mixed bag that, you know, I don't know if there's an answer to it or anything that could ever happen. It's just part of it. But what do you all think? What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Well, I think it's in some ways, you know, it was very hard, especially for you all when you played, even from when I did it, that the half-life of the popularity of the show was like decreasing. It was still, number one, number two show, but some of you all were literally rock stars in that era, the first couple of years of the show, and the show's watched by more people than watch only the Super Bowl is watched by more people now than a show like Survivor was then. So it was so widely known, and there are tabloids and magazines that are talking about you all. But for the players now, in some ways, it's different and hard in a different way, where that there wasn't social media where you could, and maybe Tina, maybe from that in those early days you couldn't compartmentalize it and not when the National Enquirer is talking about people from your season, but in for a long time it's sort of like, okay, I'm just not going to go on these websites that talk about these shows, and I'm just going to go about my life. But now we're all attached to the phone so much, where now people are talking about you, and your phone, you can't hide from it. It comes and it finds you because you have your accounts. The only thing you could do is delete all your social media accounts, and the stuff that went on after the end of the season with Marie, where people are sending like hateful messages to her, like it's too much, where people don't act like it's just a show.
Wow.
Yeah, and Rob, I'm interested about this, and Tina, what y'all think about, I guess, liability, if you will. I read something that Cass had put on Twitter, and if you can pull it up there, or you probably saw it, but she had actually had a message for CBS that when you come off this show, that they need to be, I'm just kind of trying to remember what I read, accountable, if you will, for the players that are out there and the trauma that they go through because of social media. I mean, and Tina, it's like you said, I mean, we sign up to do this. And so how much accountability or liability does CBS have, or do we just have to know, hey, this is what we signed up for. We just have to deal with it.
I don't know the answer. I don't.
Yeah. And So to speak to some of that, so the show has done a lot. Like there's always been show psychologists and people that work in that department, for a very long time. But like in the new era, especially, they've really worked to try to like provide additional counseling to players. But a lot of that I think has to deal with like the trauma from the game and going through this experience. As far as like the social media part of it, I'm not sure necessarily what the show could be doing differently, because it's just a part of life. Now, I don't think that there's anything specific to Survivor. I mean, if you think Survivor is bad, have you heard of Big Brother? Because it's way crazier about that. I just like, I feel like that it's just so different now, where and Tina, and maybe this is not accurate, but I feel like that where when you all played, then people might go to work and like, boy, Jerry, she's a real piece of work, right? But they weren't like writing letters to Jerry of, dear Jerry, I hate you.
Exactly. Yeah, it is more personal. And yeah, it's interesting too, Rob, that we had the psychologist and the psychiatrist there to help us, like you were talking about, deal with the aspects of the game. I think now we need them there to help us post game. You know, I think that might be where they're best utilized.
Tina, Rob was talking about how back for season 2, especially season 2, how basically all of you became rock stars with your first name. Your first name was all that was needed, Tina. So I actually saw that for you, it was so wild and crazy that the first year, I think if this is accurate, you were home like only 5 days the first year. The second year, you were only home for 10 days. And the third year, it finally kind of smoothed out a little bit. That is certainly life altering, I would think.
Not 5 days for the whole year, 5 days a month, I would be home.
5 a month. Okay.
Which when you've got 2 kids at home, that's not a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really, truly crazy, but wonderful. And, to take advantage of all those opportunities and to have so many life-changing events is truly, magic. And as a matter of fact, in my quiet time this morning, I was reading and it asked to think of 3 things in your life that you felt were kind of miraculous. And I put my adoption and I put winning Survivor when I did, because, it certainly was such a different experience from that to even the third time that I played. Those 2 are so much different. So,
and that was back when $1 million was really worth something, right, Tina?
Yeah. And, like they do.
That's like $2 million now.
Don't they, whenever they have the final tribal council there do they ever get together?
No. I mean, there are parties, and Bryce and Wendell do a great job of like trying to, give the players an experience to get together. But no, they don't have any sort of live reunion show.
And see that's so great and such a wonderful time. I'm so grateful. Mm-hmm. So grateful.
And so, Rob, you're mentioning her $1 million was basically more like $2 million back in the day. So, Tina, I know you're not a materialistic person. That what's important to you is spending your money on a vacation, travel, adventure memories. So, I think that is says a lot about you, how you spent your money. So, with that being said, Rob, have you got something for me?
Yeah, I believe so. Okay. How about this?
Oh, gosh.
Hello, everybody. It's Mitchell. And first of all, I'm really, really jealous that you get to talk to Tina today, my favorite friend. So, a fun story about Tina. One time, shortly after Survivor, I went to visit Tina in Knoxville, and we went to a Cracker Barrel where we ate and chatted for a big portion of the afternoon. And then we left, and the next day on the radio, a waitress there had called into the radio station to say that she had seen 2 survivors at the Cracker Barrel. And we were, very thrilled about that until she said that we stayed there most of the day and left a terrible tip.
Oof.
Which sounds about right, actually. I was like 20.
Oh no.
Anyway, I'm super, super sad that I can't be there to see all this go down. But I miss you all. I love you, Tina, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh.
Did you know that story?
I do remember. I didn't remember it till he told me. Then I didn't ring a bell. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. And Mitchell came to talk to our middle schoolers. Mitchell couldn't be tall.
Yes. Hard to miss.
They looked like munchkins, and they were just. I don't think they had ever seen anybody that tall. And so I've got some cute, cute pictures of Mitchell with all these little munchkin people around him. So that was adorable.
And Tina, talking about somebody that can throw out all kinds of, he's very funny.
Oh.
I wasn't sure. I told him I wanted to get a good story that Rob wanted to get a really fun story from me because I knew he was going to have something. Because it's Mitchell.
I know. He's always good entertainment. Always.
All right. So Tina, you got to play 3 times and then Winners at War comes around. I can't imagine why you would not have been on Winners at War. I feel quite sure you were contacted. Please set the record straight for me on that.
Okay. Yes, I was contacted. And yes, of course, I had waited for so long to go back to do Winners at War because I knew that they would eventually do an all-winter season. And I was so excited about it. And so, yeah, they called and I was getting ready and everything. And then they call and say, oh, sorry, didn't make it. So I don't know this is what happened, but I think that was when maybe Amber decided that she would go play. And so she ended up taking my place, that they thought it would probably be better to have Rob and Amber on there. And they had to get rid of somebody, and that was me. I don't know.
Interesting. That I never thought of it that way, that they got Amber to say yes. I mean, but why not both?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe because they didn't want 2 people from the same season.
Half of these people played on seasons before. Who cares if there's 2 people from Australia?
I don't know.
They didn't care when they put Amber and Alicia on the same tribe as me. Nobody was worried that day of like, oh, I can't have too many people from Australia.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't, they don't give you any reasons. They just say,
yeah.
Yes.
Who knows?
Yeah. But yeah, I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
But
Tina,
then, after watching the season, I was like, oh, thank God. Because I wouldn't have had a chance to win.
Yeah.
And just been stuck there on that other island.
Oh, the edge of extinction. But Tina, wouldn't you say, is it fair to say that they owe you one now?
They don't owe me one, but I would not mind for season 50, whatever that might be.
Just saying.
All right. So Tina, right. Season 50, going to be returning players. What do you think would be a really great theme for that? Because that's going to be big. It's going to be huge. What would be a good direction to go for that one?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And there's so many. I'd like to hear your all's thing. I think what I would like to see are there's 2 things I'd like. And maybe not for season 50, but I'd love to have first offs all go back and have a chance to play again, because they did not get the full Survivor experience. So I would love one season where all the first time people got to go back and have a second chance. But for season 50, I don't know, maybe let the fans do who they want back.
That could be an okay idea. It might work out.
Yeah.
Oh,
The T-Bird hates that. Yeah.
we're only on the air because of the fans, right?
Mhm.
So I think that it would be great to let the fans have a big say-so in that.
Yeah.
And that's to my detriment, because I don't think that there's a lot of people going, yay, Tina, we want her out.
A lot of people were watching way back when, Tina.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think, Rob? How
So
would you
I've
like
thought
to-
about this. When they first announced that they were going to do it, I think my first thought was that it would be old school versus new school. I know that's one of T Bird's favorites. She always talks about that as an idea, and I think that that's definitely possible. But I wonder, maybe could they do like a throwback? What about Heroes versus Villains 2, where it's something they've done before, but it's also a throwback to one of the best ones they've ever done.
So, Rob, I think with the fan vote, which I think we will see another fan vote, Tina, because I think it was wildly, wildly popular. As a matter of fact, I think I heard that Jeff said maybe and or Mark Burnett that they would definitely, after the second chances happen, that they would definitely do that again because of the way it was received.
Then why haven't they done it, T-Bird?
I don't know, Rob. They didn't check.
What are they
it.
waiting for?
So with that, what do you think about, Tina, with some of these players that have played a lot of times? I mean, would you rather see people that hadn't been out there so much, or do you? It just goes with whatever the theme is. Just follow the theme. Like maybe you've got the villains, you've got a Russell out there again, or
I
Brian.
don't know if you have to worry about that. Yeah.
Okay. Or maybe, okay.
I don't. I don't think that I would want some of the people that I've seen a whole bunch. But again, that's, kind of putting an X across me too,
Mm-hmm.
But, oh gosh, I don't know. I'm rarely am I disappointed in any of the seasons that they have or any of the themes that they have. A few times, and I couldn't tell you which ones, there's been a few seasons that I wasn't really crazy about the casting. But that would be another good question that we could all discuss.
Yes.
Is casting, like what's going on in that department? Because, we're getting a few people who come out there who, really were like, why did they cast these people? People who.
The quitters, is that what you're talking about, Tina?
Well, that's one. The quitter.
She does not like. I know that about Tina. She does not like a quitter.
No, and there's too many people who would give their right arm and leg to go out there. So yeah, people who go out there and quit, and also even people, and this is going to be bad, and I might get some hate from this, but even people who have food allergies.
Oh.
Now, here we go, Tina.
I will say she hung in there. She
Yes.
starved and she did not quit. So that was really great. But I think that, they ask us a blue zillion questions before we ever get accepted on the show. So I think maybe that questionnaire needs to be a little broader, and we need some more hardcore people out there. And
I think that that's a fair question. I mean, that Liz is such a funny character, though, that I guess that they thought it was going to be okay. And I think that in the beginning of the show, I think that there were people that were like doing a lot of like hunting and crabbing to, keep Liz fed. But when we got to the merge and it's such a cutthroat game, I don't think a lot of people were trying to make sure that they were going to use their energy to go find crabs to keep Liz fed. So, yeah, she kind of like had that breakdown when she didn't get to go to Applebee's. But Tina, wouldn't you be excited to go to Applebee's?
Do I? What about Applebee's?
Wouldn't you be excited to go to Applebee's?
Oh, I would love to go to Applebee's.
That's what I thought. You and Mitchell could sit in an Applebee's all day, I bet.
All day.
Yeah.
But Rob, I mean, and Tina, when you say broaden the application, I got a feeling Liz seems the type that she didn't hold back on anything when she was in there, because I think she talked about it at a lot of her confessionals about her food allergies and everything. So I think casting are looking for characters and with backstories.
Yes.
So I guess it's,
But they can afford, there's enough people that are applying that I don't think that there's any shortage of characters out there, so I don't know. And again, I'm going to give her kudos because she didn't quit, and I know she probably was really hungry and starving, but it's 26 days. I'm sorry, 20, however many, 20 what?
26.
26.
6 days. Okay.
Hey,
Yeah,
do y'all think the season 50 they'll go back? They'll go back.
I don't think so. I don't think so, T-Bird.
Okay.
What do you think, Tina? You think they would change it?
Well, I don't even know what's the reason. Why did they change the format? I don't.
Well, so part of it was they had with everything going on with COVID, they wanted to go back to filming. They needed to have people quarantine in Fiji for 2 weeks. So basically that ate up the time that they had to do the show. So they would get the people out there and then they'd have to have them quarantine for 2 weeks. And so they didn't have enough time to then do 39 days after that. And then I think they thought like, okay, well, what if we make the game really fast paced and use that 26 days? And that's what the show is now.
Huh. Okay.
So Tina, are you okay with it airing in Fiji every season?
Oh,
You okay with that?
I like to see the other places. I do miss that. I miss that element of Survivor. I know it's about money and they're saving money, but yeah, I loved whenever they were in it added such a great dimension. I mean, your season, Teresa, I tell everybody all the time, that was the one place, the one season I'm glad I did not have to go to. Even though I've been to Africa, I love Africa, I would not have wanted to play in your season. It was horrible.
Well, I don't have anything to compare it to. I mean, it's kind of like you comparing your Australia to Blood versus Water, the difficulty when you've got that to compare it to. But when you don't have anything else to compare it to, well, let me ask you this, because this is one of the things that I'd like to see changed. How they have now season, season 40, season 41. I'd like to see them go back to, Survivor Australia, Survivor Africa, some kind of name. Even if they have to go with fruits.
Yeah,
Survivor
fruits.
Papaya.
Survivor Papaya?
Survivor Kiwi. Something that kind of distinguishes the season.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't have to be fruit, Rob. That's just an example.
Yeah, I was just wondering in my mind what it would be then.
Well, I guess whatever the fruit is in Fiji during that time they're filming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have Rob's brain, so I can't tell you. If you give me a number, it's just a number. I don't know what season it is. So yeah, I don't have anything to distinguish things by.
And I know now, I mean, a lot of the seasons run together, of course, but when I hear Survivor, the Australian Outback, whole lot of things come to my mind. Great, cool things. Survivor, all that, but with Survivor 28, Survivor 30, it's like, I don't even know. I don't even know that. So yeah, I kind of like to see that change a little bit. All right, let me ask you about Jeff Probst.
Okay.
So Tina, you have called him the one take wonder. And I remember when I was out there playing the exact same thing. I'm like, how can he do all this and never, it's never never. It was never. And then I read that you had said the same thing. So tell me your feelings on Jeff Probst and give me one word, Rob, here we go. One word that you would describe Jeff Probst.
Okay. Well, yes, I've never been able to comprehend how he's able to remember things that he remembers and be able to come out there and do it so seamlessly. It's not like he has note cards that he's reading off of and then puts them away to do his thing. He comes out there, he's prepared. And just to come off the cuff, like he has to do sometimes in these tribal councils. And, you know, if somebody's having a meltdown, he's able to play the psychologist and really be a comforter, be someone of great wisdom in that setting. And that's all live and it's real and it's right there at that exact moment. And so I am just so impressed. And I think it speaks to his level of love for the game. I think he's got blood. He's a producer, of course, so he's got blood in the game that way. But I think he also has blood in the game because he loves the game. I think it's not a job, just a job to Jeff. I think this, you know, of course, it's been part of his whole life, basically, from time he was what he was when he started. So, yeah, I'm just so impressed. And so the one word I would give to Jeff would be something that has to do with it's meant to be. You know, Jeff was destined. Yeah, he was destined to
First, we haven't gotten that one, T-Bird.
No, we have not gotten that one.
Jeff
Yes.
Probst, producer of the show, guest host. He was destined for that.
Mhm.
And Tina, can you imagine the show without Jeff?
Nope.
Do you think it will continue on down the road someday if Jeff is not able or wishes to, you know, to retire?
Nope.
Okay. So no, but if it does continue,
Wow.
who can you see trying to fill his shoes? And I don't think anybody could fill his shoes, but kind of take over. Who would you think on that? I know Tiffany did try to start her
30-second timer.
resume with the timer. I think she started maybe trying to step into that. But who do you think would be a good step in for that down the road? If you could think of somebody.
That is a tough question. And I don't know. I used to say Colby, you know, because he did
Top Shot.
and
Yeah.
I thought he did a great job at Top Shot, and I thought he was kind of like Jeff. I mean, he seemed to resemble a lot of his mannerisms and things like that. So at that point, I would say Colby, but now I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
How about you all? What's your word, and what's your word for Jeff, and who do you think?
Oh, nobody's
Oh,
ever turned it around.
I know, Tina. Oh, you know what? I don't know. Rob, go ahead, take it on this one, and I'll come
Well,
up with
I would say for the word, I think to speak to what Tina brings up, and I got the chance to interview Jeff a couple of months ago, that I think that the fact he's so dedicated to this, like I mentioned to him that a lot of other people who had the same job for 24 years, I think would be kind of like phoning it in and like, okay, whatever, you know, we got this. But the fact is, like, he's just so obsessed with every detail of the show to this, like, it's really amazing that he has that level of commitment still to, like, you know, wanting to, you know, have everything perfect the way that he wants it to be. And even if you disagree with what his ideas are, like, you can't deny that he's just so driven to try to, like, make the show that he wants to make. So I think that that's the word I would use. As far as a host goes, I really don't think they're going to go with a former contestant as the new host of the show. I think that, like, if I look at like what they've done with things like The Price is Right, where they replace Bob Barker with like a Drew Carey, I think that they would probably find somebody who is like famous outside of the show. And that I think that that's what they would bring to the show, of somebody else who is like a famous person who's hosting a thing. And now, oh, it's Survivor with this other celebrity as opposed to Survivor with a former contestant as the host.
Like who?
I'm trying to think of somebody. I think a woman would really be an interesting way to go with that. And I think it's so I don't have somebody that's off the top of my head.
Okay, my turn.
Yes, T-Bird.
All right. For the word for Jeff, passionate, which
Yes.
is basically pretty much what y'all are saying too. Very passionate. And who I think, and I have thought this for a while, and I think Rob C would be phenomenal because he's quick, he's fast, he's funny, he knows the game. So I can see Rob C 100% or Rick Devens. Same way. They've both got, they know the game.
T-Bird's my agent, Tina.
So no, I'm not just saying that because it's Rob. I really, really mean it. So Rob, and I've always thought Rob, and then of course Rick Devens came around, and he's got that charisma that Rob has. So Rob or Rick Devens. Those are my
Both
picks.
good answers.
Yeah.
And I
Now,
could see it.
yes,
Yes.
T-Bird, in all of your research, did you
Yeah.
happen to stumble across any research about the time that Tina and I spent together?
No, but I don't think it was for very long.
Probably from Tina's perspective, it was very long.
Oh, wait a minute, because y'all traveled together,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
So wait a minute. Okay.
Oh,
So I need a
Lord.
funny. Do you have a good story like Mitchell did?
Oh, Tina has a bunch, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was. It was myself and Tina and the late great Rudy, who and for a very short time, Tina, Richard Hatch.
Yeah.
that for Survivor All Stars, they sent us all away together, and we didn't know why at the time that they split us up into a different group. That imagine the world where we would have been maybe with Colby and Ethan and Jerry. That might have been, I don't think that was the plan originally to send us off into a small group. Do you think it was, Tina?
I had no idea.
I think because of the Rich and Sue stuff, I think that they ended up, splitting us up. But I'm not sure. Maybe it was the plan all along, because then, like they was sent Sue like went off and traveled on her own, and then they sent Ethan and Colby and Jerry went to Mexico, and we went to go to Patagonia, and then Richard Hatch said, it's been nice knowing you. Get me my own room. I'm going to the resort.
Yes, true story. And
Yes.
he made our handler cry.
yes, he did make her. Well, that was very sad day, and he made a grown woman cry. But it happened, and then but Tina was such a trooper, and I was so, and I feel Tina, I feel badly, and I can't apologize enough, because must have been so miserable during that time, that I was so sad that I lost on Survivor. And I was just a total crank ass during that time together, part of my language. And Tina is such a good sport. And, I'm sure that Tina wasn't feeling great about the whole experience, but she never let it show. And she made the absolute most out of the whole experience.
Well, I tell everybody the greatest thing about being first off was this trip to Patagonia, because oh my gosh, we stayed in this lovely house, lovely view, but they sent us to go do all these epic adventures that I loved a lot more than Rob did. We were trekking through the Andes. We were rafting through Chile, horseback riding, 3-day adventure horseback riding trip that I won't discuss because it was not right.
You can discuss it. It was so scary. I've never ridden a horse in my life. I don't know if you could tell, Tina. I had never ridden a horse in my life. And they said, okay, we're going on like this 3-day horseback riding expedition. And so get on your horse, and like, here we go. And now we're going through like the mountains on the horse. And this horse makes one wrong step, I'm dead. That's it. We're gone. My entire life, I'm trusting to the horse that I've never met before. I have no idea how safe this is. Tina, you weren't scared during any of that?
No, I was having the time of my life. And it's the bonus for being first off. I would not give that trip for anything. I loved it.
because Tina or T-Bird, this wasn't like a pony ride. I would okay, let's ride a horse around the track. Okay, that might be fun. But this was on the horse we were on the horse for, was it 2 days straight that we were on the horse?
2 or 3. It seemed like we were gone 3 days.
Yeah, because we rode the horse up to the resort, right? And then I think maybe we stayed there one night, and then we rode the horse to the horse back, or maybe we took a car back. I'm not sure, but there was definitely an overnight that involved the horse, and it was just it was the most frightening thing I've ever done, because that it was like T-Bird, we were going up these 45 degree inclines on across rocky terrain. And I'm like, boy, this horse, I don't know if this horse has ever done this before.
I've got a picture of it, and I've got a picture of Rob. Hold on.
Yes.
Okay, let's see if I can get it.
Oh wow, it's you have a picture on the wall. Yeah, there's me. Yeah, there you go.
You. That's you.
That's me. Look at those mountains, T-Bird.
Who is that? Is that a guide in the?
Oh, is that?
That's me, and that's Rob.
Oh, that's Tina.
Okay.
You're the guide. Tina, you are the guide.
Tina, is that Scuba from our trip? Or is that a different trip?
Yes, that was from Panama. Yeah, that was before we went out.
Yeah.
To go to wherever we went, to Patagonia. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Teresa, I got to tell you this too, because Rob was a trooper. Whenever we were getting
fine trooper
for the horses, Rob, he did not want to go from the get-go. I mean, he made it clear he did not want to go. But we're going. So we get to this location. Well, they're having to pack the horses, and they were packing with pots and pans, things for us to use to eat with and whatnot. And so Rob's horse had the pots and the pans on his horse. Somehow, some way, before we even leave the corral, he's on the horse, but the pots and pans shift and go underneath the horse and spook the horse. Sure enough, it bucks Rob off. And oh man, Rob, you were upset. You were not happy. You did not.
I'm like, haven't I been through enough losing on Survivor? I thought I was going to win.
Yeah. So
I didn't pack for this.
So Tina, let me ask you this. So Rob Rob, you would be okay for me to say this. I don't think he's quite as outdoorsy and the sports enthusiast probably as you are, Tina, and that you've always been.
Well, but Tina is incredible. I'm not. Probably now I would be a little bit more adventurous about it. And also, Tina, I just want you to I really want to impart that I was not in a good spirit about the whole. This wasn't the adventure I thought I was going on. So I think under other circumstances, wow, what a dream it would be for me to go and spend time with my heroes, Tina and Rudy and Rich, and be around these people under different circumstances. What and I'm, I do get a little upset with myself for not making more out of, that once in a lifetime experience. I just was not in the right mindset of it was such a disappointment for me to I'm sure for you, Tina, just as much. But I really was just so bummed out about the whole Survivor thing. And so
now that I was not more sympathetic.
No, but I mean, look, that I was going through Tina, for me, at that particular point in my life, I really thought okay, well, I had done Survivor the one time and I got very close, and then I was coming back and okay, this is my chance, and this is going to now. This is my big opportunity in life for what's going to come out of this. And then I was really trying to come to grips with this isn't going to be that good of an experience. And I was really well, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? Because I kind of had this plan of I was going to go back on Survivor, and even if I didn't win, I was going to be on the show for a while and there would be other opportunities. And I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm going to have any other opportunities after this. And my life from that point has gone in a wonderful direction. And there's been so many other great things that have come, not directly out of that experience, but out of, being involved with Survivor. And it's been such it's been, a wonderful, path for, what I've gotten to do because of the show. But I couldn't see that at that particular point in time. So I was in a especially sour mood, Tina. And I always feel like that, boy, I was, must have been like so insufferable to live with during that time.
Well, again, I make my own sunshine. So I was absolutely over the top, thrilled to be having all these adventures. And one of the things that we did, Teresa, we got to go on this 3-day trekking thing through the Alps. Well, Rudy had gout.
Yeah.
Remember that, Rob?
Yeah. Oh, I remember. And okay. Rudy was like Rudy tickled me. T-Bird, Rudy and I were probably the closest. Remember the two guys on the Muppets that would sit in the balcony?
The old grouchy.
That's great. Hold on.
That's so good.
So
you didn't want to do any of this stuff. Rudy had all his adventures that he wasn't ready for.
Right. So Ron and Rudy went back to Ponderosa or the house, and I just went with me and the guy just kept going. So we went ahead and went on, did our thing, and Rudy and Rob went back.
So Rob, okay, so this is what I want to say. So Rob, I get how you were feeling. So Tina, I was actually, because you had expectations, but Tina went out there as a winner.
Yes.
So she probably, in her mind, thought, I'm getting to go. Yes, I love adventure, but I was a winner. So she probably had a heads up that she might be an early target.
Fair. I did not.
Yeah.
I did not think I would be an early target. And I'm a fierce competitor, and
yes.
I talk about being pissy. So I think back now to like the camera crew and production, because whenever I got wind that they were going to vote me off, I spoke to no one. I went off and I wasn't going to talk to the camera. I wasn't talking to production. I was livid.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure they hated me.
I can't imagine that.
Did you mention this? Did I get this right? Well, let me just tell you this. So my little sour story about All Stars, I was contacted as well. However, they were so wonderful. Casting was so wonderful because did I want to go back and play? Oh, yeah, very much so. But they were so wonderful to say, T-Bird, if Tina goes back, we're going to let you know. This is right up front. If Tina goes back, you will not go back. So I at least didn't have that hope. I mean, I did until that I knew you were going back.
And listen to us complaining about losing, and then they keep just leaving T-Bird at the altar.
That's okay. So anyway, where was I going? I was going somewhere with this. Oh, so did I see that you had talked to production ahead of the game that they should not put the winners together? They should divide up. You had something I read that you had said. Tell us that.
Yeah, I knew that if they did not put all the winners together, that they would target us, because that would be the easiest, smartest thing to do. And whenever I got there and saw that they did not do that, I kind of knew. And whenever I couldn't sway, because I was really working hard to sway Rupert, and whenever I knew that, he was going to go to the dark side, and I didn't have a chance. So it's such a horrible feeling, I tell you. Yeah.
Tina, what do you think about 3 tribes? Because when they put us in 3 tribes, that was like very new, that they never tried that before. But now they do 3 tribes every season. But you really when you're sort of like, when they say it's you, there's not any where to hide.
Yeah. Well, yeah, true that. And the other thing that I don't like about 3 tribes, I can't remember them. And I can't keep track of who's on whose tribe. And then whenever they merge, they'll say, oh, they're part of the old Nadu Dadu tribe. I don't know who was on that tribe. I'm too old. I can't remember. So for me, it makes it too difficult. But I don't have any trouble with them having 3 tribes though. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, for 50, if they truly brought people back from every season and had a huge cast, and that, I think that would be fine and fun.
And so Tina, well, I thought I'd read that you weren't really a big fan of the 3 tribes, but I know you don't like idols. A lot of idols out
Oh.
there, but you do like the final 3.
Yes. And I wouldn't mind maybe 1 or 2 idols, but whenever it's so many that it's just too hard to keep up with. I get from Jeff's perspective and from a fan, like I kind of like as a fan, I kind of like the, oh man, they were for sure going home, but now they have a chance. So I do like it, and and I understand more now why it's that way.
Mhm.
But it's kind of fun. I still am a fan of just a pure game because there's just too many situations that I'm like, but that's not fair.
Mhm.
That's not fair, and I still can't get through my head that Survivor is not a fair game.
Okay, what did you think about in the Survivor finale when Liz went and got Kenzie's piece for the puzzle to help out with beating Maria?
Yes, let's talk about that. Because Jeff did not allow it in a prior season.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there needs to be a hard, fast rule. And also, I wonder if Jeff was kind of, now that it's all over with, if he's kind of taken back by it, if this was just like a, like, oops, probably should have stepped in there. I wonder, What do you all think?
T-Bird, I know I've talked about it on the podcast, but I'd love to get your opinion.
Well, I mean, there's not a lot of rules. You're working as a tribe, you're working as a team. I didn't see anything wrong with it. I mean, now if I was Maria, I wouldn't have been happy about it. But everybody targets each other with a vote. You're handing each other your idol. Here, I'll give you my idol. I mean, is that okay to do that?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's fair, unless I guess they come up with a rule that it's not. I think it's all fair.
What was the one season, Rob, where he stepped in and said you can't do that?
When
it's individual.
Sophie tried to tell Albert to pick up her pieces that she dropped on the ground, and he's like, "No, you can't do that. You can't touch somebody else's pieces." I think on this one, Tina, I think that they got caught a little off guard because the last part of that challenge was like a surprise to the players that they didn't know they would have to go back and go get the other pieces, and so I think that they were just like surprised at what was going on, because usually I think you would ask that question before the challenge and they would say no, but I think that they were just like, all right, well, let's just see what happens here.
All right.
But I don't think you're going to be allowed to do more of that stuff in the future. I think that they will try, because it's a slippery slope, right, Tina? When it gets into, well, can I sabotage the other people? Can I go and hide this person's puzzle pieces?
Yeah, and when you get down to the final 5 like that,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's already an individual immunity game, but now, it's real. You're out there at the end. So maybe they say that when you get down to 5, there's no more helping anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Tina, and kind of this is something I've always been unsure of how I feel about this, going through somebody else's bag. Now, wouldn't you think that would be like something you just can't do that? But I know you've got a story. So, I mean, I don't know.
Well, thank you for bringing that up, Teresa. I appreciate that. Yeah, that was definitely one of my not proud moments of Survivor. I've got a couple of them that I'm just like, oh, I wish I could take that back. And that's one of them. Even though people do it, and it sometimes seems like a big deal, sometimes it doesn't. For me, it was a big deal, and I wish I had it. But
well, for Tina, for those listening right now that may not have seen Australia, what exactly are you referring to?
Okay, I'm referring to whenever Jerry swore up and down that Kel had beef jerky, and saw him out eating on the beef jerky. And so we were all laying in camp, and Kel was gone. And they said, well, let's check his bag to see if he's got it in his bag. And so I went through his bag to see if he had beef jerky.
And did you find it?
No. But
Yes.
they teach you in the military, they actually sew it into the hem of their pants.
Yeah.
And
Now-
Cal had already gotten in trouble because before we left Ponderosa, he had a few extra items in his bag he wasn't supposed to have. And he said he had a razor and we weren't able to take, for our luxury items, we were not supposed to bring any hygiene products. But he said that the military told them that if he couldn't stay clean shaven through the season, then he couldn't go on.
Yeah.
Baloney. So
That's not a rule.
there was some mystery going around about Cal
Yeah.
through the
Tina,
sure.
I'm not judging at all because I can't say that I wouldn't have done the same thing. But when you talk about, we're talking about, can you do this? Can you do that? That's one of those fine lines, you know, with that. But Rob, let me tell you something that I did read about Tina.
Okay.
A counselor had called her a silent rebel.
A silent
Right?
rebel.
Yep. She's a
our
pleaser.
our main psychologist, when we do all those psychological evaluations, it was him.
She's a pleaser with a mischievous side. So this is
I
fun.
believe
I'm gonna
that.
say this.
Yeah.
And by the way, Tina, you are fascinating. And so did I mention that when we started? In so many ways. The silent rebel is the rebel side is she's got 2 tattoos, maybe more. 3. Atta girl.
Tattoos.
That's the rebel side. But the silent side is
You get them where nobody can see them.
you get them where nobody can see them. All right.
Yeah.
So tell me your 3 tattoos and where they are. I must know.
Well, and I have tried to get them removed. I'll tell you that as well.
Oh,
I'm older and wiser now. And this would be a great question that I want on the podcast you should start including. I would like to know how many people who have played on Survivor got a Survivor tattoo.
yeah.
I would love to know what that number is. So yes, we were the Ogakor crocodiles. So I got a tribal crocodile on one butt cheek. And then on the other one was before I went out to play Survivor, I was caring for a gentleman who had quadriplegia. And we both had gone, and we were both kind of lone rebel type people. So we went and got a wolf howling at the moon tattoo.
Yeah.
So that was the other one. And then I got a Katie. I always said she gives my heart wings to soar. So I got a heart with wings for Katie.
Wow.
So what are you trying to remove now?
All of them.
Oh, all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait,
Not
T-Bird,
my
how about you? Do you have any tattoos?
I don't have any, Rob. And it's so funny. When we were doing our Survivor application way back in the day, it said tattoos or piercings. And I'm like, what? Who has that? I mean, I didn't even think about because I was I was 40.
I'm
or
surprised.
whatever it was.
I would have taken you for a tattoo
No,
person.
because guess what? I'm one of those. I don't like tan lines. So
Uh-oh.
I don't like lines or I
You
like
know what that means, Tina.
So yeah, I don't like tan lines. But I do know this. I do know having a tattoo removed is a lot more expensive than getting a tattoo.
Yeah, that's
And
how they get
I
you.
learned that.
And
Yeah.
pain hurts a lot worse.
Well, at least yours probably weren't so big, or were they? Were they just big,
The alligator's big.
oh, okay.
That whole butt cheek side,
Does Katie or did Taylor? I bet Taylor had him a tattoo.
They both have tattoos, yeah.
Yeah, I figured so. So was Katie trying to get hers removed or is she
Yep,
adding
A
them?
few of them.
Hey, look, that's big business now. The
I know.
tattoo is a big thing, but having them removed is probably equally as big, even maybe more so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But, this is one thing that's the beauty of life. You do things, you enjoy them. Thank God there's now a way to get rid of your mistakes. It used to be you couldn't get rid of them. They were for forever. But now, you're like, okay, let's just erase that little time period of your life.
Tina, so you gave Robin a great idea as far as, people that got tattoos after their season. I do know of one person, Pascal English, who lives right down the road from me in Thomaston, of course, was our Marquesa. And his wife, Beverly, beautiful, I would say fairly conservative, because Pascal's conservative. She went out there when I guess they went for the loved ones visit, and Beverly got a tattoo from Pascal being out there. Now, I don't know if she still has it now, but again, Beverly, again, very conservative like Pascal. So when I heard that Beverly, she told me that she had gotten one, I'm like, okay, so I think probably more people than we know probably have them.
I know several. So yeah, it would be, I would
7.
love to know that number. Several.
No.
Survivor 40 several.
Several.
Rob, do you have any tattoos?
I don't. I'm not opposed to it, but I don't have one yet.
Yeah, it needs to be something that's meaningful. I mean, at the time those were all meaningful to me. So,
Tina, so many reality players that are superstars, which by the way, I include you in that, have played on all these different other seasons. Big Brother, Snake in the Grass. God, Rob can name them. Have you been contacted?
The Traitors.
Traitor.
Deal or No Deal Island.
Deal or No Deal. Yeah. Have you got any you would like to do, or have you been contacted in the past for any of those?
The only thing that I was contacted to do was to fight Tanya Harding, I think it was, in some WrestleMania or something. I don't know. I'm like, no, thank you. But
what's the connective tissue between you and Tanya Harding?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think.
I don't know. That was hysterical.
But Rob, that's not that unusual, because Jenna Maraska did some of that once.
Yeah, she did wrestling. But I'm trying to think of why would we get excited to see Tina fight Tanya Harding? It was Tanya Harding versus Nancy Kerrigan, or Tina versus another survivor. I can see that. But what do Tina and Tanya Harding have in common?
Publicity.
Publicity.
Tina is Tina, and then the two of them, and they're both really bad, tough women is where I'm going with this.
She's a silent rebel, Tanya Harding.
Yeah,
right?
There is a hysterical video out there somewhere that someone did of me in the boxing ring. Oh, and it's embarrassing and it's horrible, but it is funny. It's one of those things you got to learn to laugh at yourself with these spoofs.
I would imagine, Tina, they would have paid you some big money for that one.
Oh, I don't know.
You never got that far.
Yeah.
There was no amount of money that was going to get me to do something like that.
Yeah, Tina has a gold medal. Tanya Harding doesn't.
So Tina, that kind of reminds me, you had an agent for a lot of years. Did all this, you probably got a lot of offers you couldn't do because of the time-wise, but of everything you did and all the, what's closest to your heart was some of the things that you did that you thought, wow, that was amazing. How it touched you.
Yeah, those are some pretty easy ones. So I remember playing in the baseball all-star game with Don Mattingly, Steve Garvey, Tug McGraw, Meatloaf.
Wow.
James Vanderbeek, Vanessa Williams, all these amazing people. But being out there on the baseball field and throwing softball with these guys, and just the field itself was beautiful. So I'm out there center field, tears running down my face. It's one of the first things that I did afterwards, and just thinking, who am I? Who am I to be living this life, getting to do these things that I'm just me. I'm just so, again, ordinary. Why do I get to go do these things? So that was one that was really big, just because it was one of the first, and just it was so big for me. I teamed up with Cher, and we worked with an organization, Children with Facial Cranial Disformity. And remember the movie Mask?
Yes.
Okay, so she had done that movie, and then they had asked me to get involved. So she and I were working together at an event in Atlanta, and then went on to Sturgis and did more events there in Sturgis with a child there who had facial cranial disorder. And so that was a pretty exciting thing I got to do. You know, I got to meet a lot of the country music people for the CMAs. And then I remember that, was it the People's Choice Awards, I think it was, whenever it was the end of our season, and we won, Survivor won the People's Choice Awards. And Mark, and when we're walking down the aisle, he wanted everybody to go up to accept the award. And he said, Tina, I want you to accept the award. And I had to say something, you know, on national television. So that was kind of like one of those things that was pretty big for me. And then I'll have to just say, this is just something that changed my life, because I wasn't used to being in front of people. I never tried out for cheerleader. I've never liked being front and center. But after Survivor, I became a public speaker. You know, the most terrifying thing ever. But I was able to develop that side of me and learn how to stand in front of other people confidently, and to speak, and to take on a dimension of myself that was so unlike me. And that was such a good lesson about how, if we're open, we can really do things that we never thought was in our wheelhouse if we're open to it.
Yeah, that's Tina. So all these people you just mentioned and that you've met, that maybe are your role models or whoever impressed, of all the amazing people you've met, who is that one that stands out in your mind of, you know, that you thought was really amazingly awesome? I know there's a lot, but.
Wow, that is, okay. The thing that comes to mind, and it's really strange, but it was at the Country Music Awards, and we were at rehearsals, and I'm nervous, and there's all these country music stars that I grew up with listening to, and, you know, I'm not Richard Hatch. Richard Hatch, you know, thinks that, you know, we're somebody because we're on this reality show, you know, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm on this little reality show, well, big reality show, but still, I'm not a star, and I'm with all of these stars. And so I'm thinking they probably look to me like, oh, this poor little child, or, you know, whatever. And there's a country musician, Colin Ray.
Colin Ray. I love him. Hold on. Go ahead.
Yes.
I love him.
Okay. Well, he came over to me, and he was so kind. And, you know, he was the one that made me feel comfortable in kind of an uncomfortable situation. And the fact that he took the time to, you know, not make me feel like a peon or anything like that. That was just something that I'll always remember, just the kindness of another human being.
Colin, hey, you
So
know,
he's not the biggest star by any means.
Right.
In my eyes, he did something that was nobody else did.
Were you familiar with his music?
Yes.
At that time?
Yes.
Because I love, that's, thank you for sharing that. Because
Yep.
like I said, I always liked him, and that you just said that is great. All right, so I do want to touch on this quickly, because I know this is a really important thing and touches a lot of people. I'm really impressed with your being an advocate of adoption. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure your story has touched so many people. I mean, again, your book that I've really enjoyed reading and getting to know about you. This is a great thing. I mean, tell me what you're doing now with this, or how it's touched people. I'm sure you have individual stories of people that it's probably touched.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's one of those things that, from a personal standpoint, I think whenever I run into anyone who's been adopted, one of the things that I want to do is I want to celebrate it, because from a teenager's standpoint, there's so many ways that they could think of their life depending on how their parents approach adoption. So, like I know people who've been adopted and they didn't know until they were an adult because their parents never told them. And I know some people are able to come into an adoptive home and feel like they're just one of the family, and other people, they come and there's not other children that are biological to that family. So there's so many different ways that a child, if it comes out that they're adopted, may feel. So whenever I come across them, I just want to celebrate it. I'm like, that is so cool. That is so cool. You're adopted. Your parents, oh my gosh, I'm sure that they were just over the top thrilled to get you. And you probably have no idea how much it meant to have you a part of their family. And, really I'm coming at it from the person, because I only know what it feels like to walk in my shoes. And my parents were great. They told me from the very beginning, it was never a secret. They wanted me to grow up knowing that I was adopted. So I think it's just so important to celebrate adoption instead of it being kind of a, oh, well, she's adopted, that type of mentality. I think it just really needs to be celebrated.
Tina, have you had any contact with your 4 other siblings through the years? I mean, was that an open thing, or I was just really curious about that for you?
I did. They're all dead, which is another thing, I mean, my family that I was adopted from, they were so impoverished and had such a difficult, hard life. And yeah, everybody on my biological side is dead. All mother, father, children, they're all gone. But I did get to meet them all before they died.
Good. All right, good. And your mom and dad, who, when you read the book, they seem just like, all the stories are fabulous. Are they still living?
And my dad passed of Alzheimer's 3 years ago, but my mom, 83, we just went on this amazing trip to Indochina and went to Hong Kong, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Da Nang, and then we're going this winter to inland Greece to walk in the footsteps of Paul, to go to places where Paul went. She is a pistol, no medication, walks 3 miles a day. She is the funniest person I've ever met, even funnier than Mitchell. Hard to believe, funnier than Tyson. So she is phenomenal.
Yeah, for those people listening to this that want to know if Tina's still adventurous, yes, she is.
Yes.
The last couple of days you were camping with the fireflies, right?
Yep, I go camping every Tuesday and Wednesday, come back on Thursday. Live in the middle of the woods. I love adventure. What can I say?
You have a TV. I know for a while you didn't have a TV, right?
I don't.
You have a TV? You have no TV now? How do you watch Survivor?
On the computer.
You still have no TV. Now, Katie, did I read Katie has no TV also?
Not since college.
Wow.
Tina, thank you so much, Robbie. I mean, one thing I want to say, 3 ingredients that Tina has said to win Survivor: luck, logistics, and living relationally. You still go with that?
I certainly do, because as we saw on this 23 years later, here we've got someone who won. And I say luck can get you far in the game. Anyone who's ever won, an element of luck was involved. Somehow, something happened that if that lucky thing had not happened, they would not have been there at the end. Logistics, you can have great strategy, and that strategy can take you far into the game. But if you have not lived relationally, then lots of times that will bite you in the butt in the end. Or if you have lived relationally, that can win you the game. And we just saw that, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And there's no better representation of biting you in the butt than the alligator.
That's right. Literally.
Yes.
I knew Rob was going to pull it together.
After All Stars.
That's what happened. But yeah.
I could have got an alligator eating the alligator.
Yeah, I should have got that also. I wish you would have told me about it.
Oh,
Tina.
God.
It inspired me. Yeah.
Thank you so much for
One
this.
of the legends, Tina Wesson.
Definitely.
Oh,
Yeah.
this was so fun. Thank you for having me.
Tina, do you want people to keep up with you on the social media?
Sure, that's fine.
How do people
Yes,
find you?
Tina, because if 50 is a vote, yes.
Okay, all I have is Instagram.
Okay.
But do I have to know what that name is?
You have to know the number.
Yeah. I'll look it up to share it.
Okay, that would be great. Yeah, because I mean, even at 63, I would
At
go-
T Wesson 13.
Thank you.
What's the 13?
It's my favorite number. It's
Ooh,
always been.
like
nobody-
Taylor Swift?
Well, nobody liked it growing up, and I'm like, well, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the only way to get in touch with me, I guess.
At Tina
Okay.
Wesson 13. Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tina, thank you. This was such a delight. Always great to catch up with you. And then hopefully we won't have to, wait too long to see you back on Survivor again.
I do. Well, I miss seeing you all. I wish there were some things to get to everybody together and see some of us old school players a little more, because get to see you all.
All right. Well, Tina, thank you so much. This was such a delight, and all the best outside of all of this. Okay.
Well, thank you for all the surprises today. That really meant a lot. That was so touching. And Teresa, thank you for the tribute. That was just lovely. So blessings to you both.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Tina.
Thanks, Tina.
Thank you.
All right. Love. Mwah, mwah.
All right, everybody. There you have it. Tina Wesson. How about that, T-Bird? Yes.
Rob, I believe we could have gone a lot longer with Tina.
For sure.
Because can you imagine the stories, how many stories she would have all over these, the years with all of her Survivor experiences. So we did hear some good ones though. So
yes, for sure. And I loved getting to talk to Tina because to me, it was such like a through line across the history of Survivor where, you have Tina who won back in 2001. They played that season back in the year 2000. And you have Kenzie. And you just have this through line of like what ultimately still matters in the game of Survivor. And it's just like, I think it's really fun that it's a similar skill set ultimately. And Tina is a tough lady and she went in some challenges, I believe. I know she's a great athlete. I'm trying to remember. Colby won so much. But she can hold her own. And I just think that there's like some similarity there between, a winner from then and our winner from now.
Again, I think you play the game the way you live your life. And Tina certainly proved that that's the way she basically lives her life and still lives her life. She's just a beautiful, caring person, still very outdoorsy. And yeah, very interesting that her and Kenzie do seem to have a lot in common just many years later.
And I really did feel very special to be here with the two of you, that I just feel like that how many people have gotten to say that they are like on a call with just, two of the greats between you and Tina, like between, that sort of like the overlap that there is between your two stories. Like it's just like sometimes I have to like really just like sit back and like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah, Rob, thank you. That's, again, I've been so excited. And then I didn't know a lot of stuff about her until I started kind of doing a deep dive, and she's fascinating in so many ways. So maybe who knows, maybe we'll see her on S50.
Maybe. All right. Well, T-Bird, I know you've got a lot of people that you have already been reaching out to, scheduling. So everybody make sure you are locked in. Of course, you could hear Talking with T-Bird, of course, when you subscribe to RHAP. Also, there is a special Talking with T-Bird feed where you could listen to all of our 50 plus interviews with Survivor legends and greats from over the years. Go to robhasawebsite.com/T-Bird feed for that. T-Bird, anything else you want to let people know?
No, just feels really good to be back. Looking
We're so
forward
back.
to the summer.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.